Welcome to our question and answer session for this month of November. We shall begin with the first question.
Question number 1 from Elizabeth, Norway. It seems like the Satipatthana is more about Vipassana, as it requires a lot of thinking in order to make the mind completely tranquil. How the practice of mindfulness, as recommended in the Satipatthana Sutta, can develop jhana. How to merge Satipatthana practice with Samatha meditation.
Well, in the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha taught 3 steps. The first step is to develop mindfulness so that you can then enter into samadhi. And after you have fully developed samadhi, then you go to the next level, which is vipassana, by investigating or study the nature of the body, the feelings, the emotion of the mind, and the Dhamma in the mind. There are 3 separate levels of practices. With the first level, it's so simple, so there's not much to explain. Mindfulness is to be mindful of your body. Whatever you do, keep watching your body all the time to prevent your mind from drifting away into the past or into the future. Because when the mind goes into the past or the future, it has to think, and you don't want it to think. So you have to bring it back into the present by looking or focusing on the action of the body. There's another you can use a variation of mindfulness by using a mantra. If you can recite the mantra, you can also stop your mind from thinking. So this is very simple, but it takes a long time. It's simple to learn how to develop mindfulness, but hard to develop mindfulness. For some people, it can be years and years before they can have enough strength of mindfulness to be able to get the mind to enter into jhana, into samadhi. So this is the first step, is to develop mindfulness and sit in samadhi. When you have nothing to do, when you don't need to do anything, then you sit down and then use your mindfulness to watch your breath. Mindfulness of breath, of breathing. Just keep watching your breath in and out in order to prevent you from thinking about this and that. If you persist, you eventually will succeed and the mind will enter into jhana. You have to do this many times. Once in the jhana, you want to keep it there for as long as possible, because that's where you gain your strength. That's where you gain your happiness, your contentment. You need happiness, contentment, in order to resist your cravings and your desire, which you will use in the next level. You will use vipassana on your next level to resist your cravings and your desire. So the second step is to be proficient with your samadhi, with your jhana. Practice until you can enter anytime you want and stay as long as you want before you can move up to the next level, which is vipassana or wisdom or insight. This you need to use your thought to study the nature of the body that you are attached to study the nature of feeling that you are attached to study the nature of the mind objects that you are attached to study the Dhamma that you are attached to, that they are all impermanent. If you attach to them, they can cause you sadness or unhappiness or misery. So when you feel sad, it means you are attached to your body or your feeling or your emotions or the Dhamma that you have developed, which they can disappear. So this is what you have to understand, that you should let go of your attachment to these objects in order to free your mind from suffering or sadness.
Question number 2 from Lee, Malaysia. I am practicing general mindfulness throughout the day. So when do I switch practicing general mindfulness to the practice of Satipatthana?
It's the same thing. General mindfulness is the first step. So when you have time, then you sit and meditate, watching your breath. This is in the Satipatthana Sutta. The beginning of the Satipatthana Sutta said you go sit under a tree, meaning sit in a place where it's quiet, usually in the forest during the time of the Buddha. And in the forest you sit under the shade of a tree and meditate by having mindfulness of your breathing. Keep watching your breath in and out until you eventually can enter into jhana. And then try to keep the mind in jhana for as long as possible. And after you withdraw from jhana, you want to maintain more mindfulness. Keep doing this and then go back into jhana again, back and forth, until you become very proficient, that you can enter jhana anytime you want. Then if you can do this, then you can move up the next level. When you're not in jhana, when you come out of jhana, then you have to study the nature of the body, feeling, and the mind, to see that they are anicca, dukkha, anatta. See, and let go of them.
And during my practice of the general mindfulness, I experienced thoughts arose at the background of my mind, but I am still able to observe the movement of my body. Is this normal?
Yes, in the beginning, your mindfulness is not strong enough to stop your thoughts. But eventually, as you become more stronger, your mindfulness becomes stronger, then your thought will become lesser. So just ignore the thought that's trying to compete with your mindfulness. Just pay attention to your mindfulness.
Question number 4 from Karuna, Taiwan. When I practice Marananusati for 7 days, I observed the 4 elements slowly disappear. I understand that the body is not me. I am not so attached to my body now and understand the teaching of the Buddha clearly. I feel relaxed and I'm not afraid of death. According to your teaching, have I attained Sotapanna level?
I cannot certify that. You have to certify yourself. As long as you are not attached to your body and you can face aging, sickness and death undisturbed, then it doesn't matter what you call it. You don't care about the label on the fruit. You care more about the fruit that you eat, whether it's good fruit or not good fruit. Doesn't mean somebody put a label, say good fruit, and when you eat it, it turns out to be rotten fruit, for instance. So this is sanditiko from the practice point of view. You are the one who will have to certify your own practice by seeing whether you still have any difficulty or any problem with the objects, which is your body.
Question number 5. How can I attain Anagami level?
You have to move up the next level of investigation. You have to get rid of your sexual desire. Your sexual desire arises from your thinking about beautiful woman or beautiful man. When you think of man or woman with good looking, then you have sexual desire for them. So you have to look the other side of the body. Look at when the body is old or sick or die, when the body become a corpse, or look inside the body, under the skin. There are still many things that you don't see about the body. So you have to look at the other side of the body, which is the unattractive side. If you can see this unattractive side of the body, then you can get rid of your sexual desire. Then you can become an anagami.
Question number 6, Theo, Malaysia. After chanting, my breath becomes subtle. When the breath disappears, sometimes it is difficult to fix my attention at one point, and sometimes I just see the emptiness of the breath. How to deepen my samadhi? Should I fix my attention at one point, or should I just be aware of the emptiness?
Just be aware of the emptiness and be aware whether you are thinking or not. If any thought arises, you should stop it. Don't continue your thought.
Question number 7 from Leon. While meditating using anapanasati, I am confused whether my breathing is the natural breathing or the controlled breathing. How to distinguish them?
Doesn't matter. Just keep watching it comes in and goes out. Whether it's natural or not natural, it's not the point. The point is to use it as the point of focus of your mind in order to prevent your mind from thinking. If you start to wondering whether it's control or not control, you are already thinking. So don't worry whether it's control or not control. Just watch, just observe, and don't think.
Question number 8 from Anthony. After 15 minutes of meditation with my eyes closed, I feel burning sensation on my eyes, so I open my eyes, which give me much relief. But after opening my eyes for a while, the eyes now feel heavy. This cycle keeps repeating throughout my meditation. Can Ajahn please give advice?
Well, if it's not physically cause your eyes to have irritation, then you should just ignore it. It only happens when you meditate. When you feel any irritation while you meditate, just ignore it. Just keep focusing on your meditation object. Then eventually this feeling can disappear. For many meditators, there are different distractions. Sometimes you feel itchy here and there. Sometimes you feel painful here and there. If you let this thing to distract your mind from your meditation, then your meditation will not succeed. In order to succeed, you have to ignore them and keep focusing on your meditation object.
Question number 9 from Ken. In the past, I've learned about Qigong, similar to Tai Chi, so I understand about Qi or energy. Recently, during my meditation, I always feel strong Qi around my forehead. This can calm me down and help me focus on my meditation. Is focusing on the energy on the forehead as the meditation object a correct meditation method?
Well, if it makes your mind calm and concentrated, and you can enter into samadhi that way, then that's the object for your meditation, I guess. Because there are probably many more objects that people can use that is not presented in the scripture.
Question number 10 from Jackie, Singapore. As listening to music is not allowed when we practice the 8 precepts, does Buddhist song such as the Heart Sutta or the mantra with music acceptable and will not break the 8 precepts?
It's still not good, It's better to not listen to this music, whether it is chanting music or not. It can still be a distraction. It's better just to listen to chant alone, or do your chanting yourself.
And also in the 8 precepts, it's mentioned that we shouldn't sleep on high bed. Is the normal bed height okay, or should I sleep on the floor?
Really, the word high bed, they means the luxury bed. But when you translate it literally, it becomes high bed. Yeah. What it actually means is avoid sleeping in luxury bed, which are too comfortable. They are designed for people to sleep for a long period of time. The Buddha doesn't want us to sleep too much. We should sleep just enough to rest the body. Once you get up, then you should get up. When you awake, you should get up. But if you sleep on a luxury bed with comfortable mattresses, you want to sleep more. You want to continue to sleep. So he recommends you sleep on a hard floor, which is not comfortable. And when your body have rested, you will become awake, and you don't want to continue laying down. So you will get up and then meditate, or walking meditation, whatever.
Question number 12 from Lyon, Singapore. When I do chanting, should I do it fast-paced or slow-paced?
It's up to you, whichever is effective for you, whichever works for you, which can vary from time to time. Sometimes fast is good, sometimes slow is good. It depends on your state of mind at that time.
And what should I do when the unwholesome thoughts arises while I'm doing the chanting?
Just ignore it. Just keep focus on your chanting.
And if I cough while chanting, shouldn't stop and restart all over again?
No, you can continue on chanting right from where you stop. Chanting is just a means of getting you to have mindfulness, to prevent you from thinking about things that you shouldn't be thinking about.
Question number 15. If any disturbance arise, such as coughing while chanting, or unwholesome thoughts arise during chanting, does the chanting consider as fruitful or meritorious?
Well, it's just considered to have difficulties, not smooth running. It's like car that after you run for a while, it starts to stop. Then you have to restart the car and continue on. So it just make the journey longer. That's all.
Question number 16 from Sim, Malaysia. I go to different types of meditation retreat. Sometimes I go for vipassana retreats. Sometimes I go for anapanasati retreats. Is it advisable to go for many different types of meditation retreats?
If you haven't found the right retreat for you yet, then you probably have to try different ones. Eventually you will probably decide to choose one that you like or is most productive for you.
Question number 17 from Ravi, India. I've been practicing meditation for the past 10 years, attending Goenka, Vipassana silent retreats, and learning the teaching of the Buddha in the University of Mumbai. However, I experienced none of those mentioned in the Thai forest tradition, such as the knowing, the Kanika Samadhi or Appana Samadhi. Despite spending 10 years practicing, can Ajahn please guide me?
Because your intensity of practice is not up to the level where it can produce the result. To produce result, you have to practice continuously from the time you get up to the time you go to sleep. If you only practice 1 hour a day for 10 years or 100 years, it will not produce you that result that you want. The result will come if you are mindful all the time, from the time you get up to the time you go to sleep, and you are alone most of the time, having no engagement with people. You are alone, and then you have lots of time to sit in meditation. This is the only way for you to be able to achieve any result from your meditation practice.
Question number 18 from Michael. How do I find out whether samatha or vipassana meditation is the best method for me?
For most people, you have to start with samatha meditation. You cannot go to vipassana meditation. It's a different level. You have to have the prerequisite for vipassana. Prerequisite for vipassana is samatha. And prerequisite for samatha is morality, sila, 8 precepts. So you have to first keep the 8 precepts before you can practice samatha bhavana. And then once you have samatha bhavana, then you can go up to the vipassana level.
Question number 19 from Kenneth, Switzerland. My good friend suffers from fear of ill health and death. It leads her to severe panic attack, anxiety and depression. How should she practice to deal with fear of sickness and death?
She has to develop mindfulness to stop her thoughts about these things. As soon as she starts thinking about death, she should use a mantra or some kind of mindfulness to stop her from thinking. Because if she cannot stop, then this thought will then create this panic.
Question number 20 from Tom. Are women allowed to become monks?
Not in Thailand. They can become machi or what we call nun. They can shave the head, then also put on white robes instead of the yellow robes that monks put on. Because in Thailand, the tradition of ordaining women to become a bhikkhuni has disappeared. So there's nobody to guide a new bhikkhuni, to teach a new bhikkhuni how to become a real bhikkhuni.
Question number 21 from Gordon. Other than giving donation, giving alms to monks, and helping others, are there any other ways to make merits?
Yes, you can help people by your time. You can teach people, giving them knowledge. If you know some knowledge, like how to cook, for instance, you can teach people how to cook, and as long as you don't charge money, if you do it for free, you can serve as a volunteer in school, in hospital, or in any charitable organization. These are also ways of making merit. There are 10 ways of making merit. If you can search in the net, I think, just 10 ways of developing Buddhist merits, and you'll come up.
Question number 22 from Tan. Some said that it's okay to offer unhealthy good food to the Mahasangha as long as they like it. Should we continue to offer unhealthy food knowing that it's not good for monks' health? Is it creating bad karma for us?
Well, the purpose of providing food to other people, regardless whether they are monk or not monks, because you want to sustain their body. So if you give them bad food and instead of sustaining their body, causing them to get sick, then this is contrary to the purpose of your charity. So you should consider, what is good and what is bad. You don't want to give things that will cause people to become sick, do you?
Question number 23. If we give dana to people who have passed away with the expectation that the recipients can have good karma, does it mean that we give with expectation and hence without sincerity?
No, you can. Before you do anything, you expect the result from your doing. Or else why should you do anything if you don't expect anything from your result, from what you do? So expecting the result and getting the result is two different things. See? What you expect might not be the result that you get from what you do. So once you do it, you will get result. Whether it's the result that you want or not, that's another story. So no matter what you do, there will always be result, good or bad, right or wrong. So before you do it, you have to consider first whether by this action what will happen. Yeah. So this is not considered to be defilement in any way. It's a method of logic. You have to think logically. If I do this, what will happen? So this is not considered to be defilement or cravings in any way.
Question number 24 from Lee. According to the Dhamma, it is difficult to be reborn as human beings, but why human population is increasing?
Well, if you compare to the human animal kingdom, I think human numbers are still very small. And they are increasing because people make more babies. See? If you make more babies, there will be more human beings. See? Because they are the spirit. Those spirits are waiting to be reborn as human. So many, they are standing in a long queue. Because besides human beings who are coming back as human beings, there are also other spiritual beings waiting in line to become human also.
Question number 25 from Bun. If the mind is permanent and going from one life to the next, why in each rebirth, when the mind enters a new body, the mind has to learn everything all over again, such as learning the language, learning how to eat, how to write?
That's because it can forget. If it's after a few years, before you forget, so you have to relearn. There are things that you don't have to relearn. Things that you do, usually you don't have to relearn. If you used to play the violin, you can come back and play the violin, piano. If you used to be an athlete, a runner, then you can run. These are things that you don't have to relearn. But things that needs to memorize, then you can forget. Then you have to relearn it after you are reborn, because there are many thousands of languages, and you only know one. How can you be sure that it's the same language that you are born into? So if it's a new language, you just have to relearn it. You have to learn a new language.
Question number 26 from Ravi, India. I practice regularly, but sometimes my kilesas gain so much strength, it leads me to break the precepts. How to keep the kilesa under control all the time so that I won't break any precepts?
Well, you have to find some countermeasure. One of them is to punish yourself when you break the precept. Like, maybe somehow you have to punish yourself to make yourself be aware that if you break the precept, there is a consequence for your breaking the precept. If you don't punish yourself, then you just will keep doing it because you feel like there is no punishment. There is reward, but there is no punishment. But the punishment will come later on, and you'll be too late to correct. But if you can do it now in your lifetime, you can still correct your wrongdoing.
Question number 27. I increased my practice from 30 minutes to 3 hours a day. When I analyze myself, it seems that my ego is getting bigger and bigger. It seems that I know everything. I know this is wrong, but I am unable to catch what's wrong with it. Can Ajahn please advise?
Well, as long as you don't impose your ego on other people, then there's nothing wrong with that. If you think you know a lot, and if you happen to know a lot, that's fine, But just don't impose it on other people. When you're dealing with other people, you should force your ego down to the bottom. Suppress it. Try to suppress. Make yourself feel like you are just nobody.
Question number 28 from Sammy. How to get rid of ego?
By not doing what your ego asks you to do. If your ego says have a drink and you say no, then eventually your ego will disappear.
And is getting rid of ego equivalent to realizing anatta?
That's part of it, because there is no ego.
Question number 30. Sheila, What is the difference between boredom and restlessness, and how to overcome those states of mind?
They are unhappiness, different form of happiness. Boredom is one form of unhappiness. Restlessness is another form of unhappiness or suffering. In Buddhism, we usually use the term suffering to cover every form of unhappiness or sadness. To overcome them, you have to stop your mind from thinking, make your mind calm. Then when your mind becomes calm, all the boredom and restlessness will disappear. So you have to learn how to meditate. Before you can meditate, you have to have mindfulness first. So you have to try to develop mindfulness all the time. Stop your mind from thinking aimlessly or uselessly. Only think about what you have to do or necessary to think. Otherwise, use a mantra to stop it. Focus on your body action.
Question number 31. I've heard that teachers who have not attained Nibbana but teach others meditation will not get bad karma because they are doing it with good intention. What is the repercussion of such teachers who teach others even though they themselves are not Aryas? And what would be our approach to those teachers who are teaching meditation but clearly they themselves are not Arahants?
Well, if they teach what they know and what they know is not wrong, then there's nothing wrong with that. Because there are many different levels of knowledge that you can teach. You can teach about keeping the precept, you can teaching about how to develop mindfulness. But you try to teach something that you don't know, then you can mislead other people. So don't try to teach something that you don't know. Only teach people what you know. Then there will be no problem. You will not mislead other people into the wrong direction.
Question number 32 from Sarasi, Sri Lanka. What is the best method to stay calm and avoid becoming quick-tempered in daily life situation?
If you can recite a mantra, this is the easiest way. Just keep reciting a mantra. When you feel uneasy, you feel restless, just keep reciting Bhutto, Bhutto, Bhutto for a few minutes. It can calm your mind very quickly.
Question number 33. When a person wants to develop meditative path, but he or she keeps on getting disturbed by many obstacles, what causes him or her to keep getting those obstacles? Does it happen due to his or her bad karmic effect from previous birth?
Sometimes their past karma can also become a hindrance or obstacles. But there are other things also that can become obstacle. So it's not the point to figure out what causes the obstacle. The point is to figure out how to overcome your obstacle. So whatever obstacle you have, try to overcome them. If you don't know how to overcome them, then you should seek advice from those who know how to overcome obstacles. It's better than to think what causes this obstacle to appear in the first place.
Question number 34. I still live together with my ex-boyfriend, so to deal with grief of ending the relationship, I still must see him daily. What is the best approach to deal with grief after a relationship ends? Is it necessary to give time to grief?
The best thing is to forget it. If you can forget it, then the grief will disappear. So when you start to think about your past relationship, then try to start by reciting a mantra or chanting or sit in meditation if you can do. Once you meditate or once your mind becomes calm, then you forget what you think. You don't think, and then the past will not come and haunt you. You bring the past back by your thoughts. If you stop thinking, then your past won't come back. The past is already gone. But you keep bringing it back by thinking about it. So you have to stop thinking about it, then it will not come and bother you.
Question number 35. In Ajahn's book, Inspiring Dhamma, it is mentioned that the Buddha taught us that we should try to always keep an open mind and not to be narrow-minded. Can Ajahn advise why is this important?
Because there's an opportunity to learn when you open up your mind. Because there are many things that you don't know yet. But if you shut your mind to other knowledge, then you will not learn anything more. So this is what the Buddha meant by keeping an open mind. Just listen, but you don't have to believe or disbelieve. Just if you want to know whether they are good or not, then you have to prove it by practicing it. So this is because there are still many things that you need to know in order to get yourself free from all forms of suffering. In order to stop you from keeping back to reborn again and again, you need to know the path that will lead to you, the unborn. So you have to have an open mind, listen, and then try to prove it for yourself whether what you heard is good or not. If you don't know, maybe you can ask somebody else to compare, to verify.
Than Ajahn, I would like to ask on this karma. It is said that this karma, when we practice, we see the cause and effect. We can overcome the karma. For some people, let's say, some people they say karma, like for example, a person who kills, let's say, in the past life, maybe he kills one person, then he has to pay back the karma. Is that before the person can have to pay off all the karma?
Not necessarily. It depends on how much the Dhamma practice you have. If you can reach Nibbana, then you don't have to pay all your old debt. But if you haven't reached Nibbana yet, then you still have to pay your debt. Depends on what kind of bad karma you did. If you achieve the level of the noble disciple, then you won't have to pay your bad karma by being born in the lower realms of existence. But you can still be haunted by people whom you did something wrong to them. They could come and try to get even with you in your lifetime.
For example, I can see some people before, some famous monk, before they go off to parinibbana, they also have to suffer bodily conditions.
That's right. But the mind is not affected by the conditions of the body. Like the Buddha, he still had to experience some bad karma in his past life. He used to make the cows who wanted to drink water not be able to drink water. So in his last final days, when he was thirsty, he couldn't find any clean water to drink.
Okay. My second and last question, Panajan, is yesterday we talked about the mind seeing the body and the mind detached from the body. Is it one of the sign of Sotapan, or it's for a person to reach to Sotapan stage? They have to overcome giving up of the mind and body. And what is it actually they have to overcome in order to pass the test?
They have to give up the body, not being hurt by whatever happened to the body. The body can get old, get sick or die, and the mind will not be affected by it.
Thank you,ท่านอาจารย์
Good evening, Panachan. I have just a few simple questions. One question is that my friend asked me to ask Tan Ajahn.
Can you speak louder?
Okay, I have one question here. According to my friend, she said that in Buddhism, we can only practice meditation. We do not have to do any chanting. She understand it from another Bante. Is it? What's your comment on this, please?
Well, see, chanting is the way to help someone who cannot meditate yet. If you sit and you cannot stop your mind from thinking, then chanting first can help you stop most of your thinking, a lot of your thinking. And then it will then be easier for you to meditate afterwards. So it depends on your mind. If your mind doesn't think too much, you can meditate right away. But if your mind keeps thinking about this person, that person, what happened, and cannot concentrate on your meditation, then you have to use chanting to help get rid of these thoughts first.
So, meaning to say, if you are good in meditation,
You don't need chanting.
oh, is it?
When you begin, when you don't know how, you cannot meditate, then you need chanting to help you eliminate your thoughts first. Reduce your thought down to a manageable level.
Okay, so it's true lah. Okay. Another question, Tan Ajahn, if you're new in Buddhism, what are the morning chanting and evening chanting that we should practice daily?
Well, in Thailand they have a sort of chanting to chant with. So you can use that as the chanting. You have to buy a chanting book in English. They have translation. You have to buy translated books into English language.
I see.
Then you can follow that chant.
So as evening puja also, so as evening chanting as well. You can get it from the book.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And another question. Sorry.
Or you can just choose any sutta to chant. If you like the first discourse, you can chant from that first discourse.
Oh, okay. All right.
Or any discourse,
Discourse,
you like the Mangala Sutta, you can chant the Mangala Sutta.
Mangala Sutta.
Whatever sutta you like to chant with, you can use them.
Oh, okay. All right. Another question is that, Ajahn, the sila that we are practicing every day, the 5 precepts, sometimes can we just accept the 4 precepts instead of 5?
Well, it's like taking an examination. You can only do 4 questions and you cannot do 5. So you cannot get a perfect score. You still have to pay for the one that you did not keep.
I see. So let's say occasionally, if you drink like example alcohol drink, does it break your 5 precepts? Does it break your last precept?
Actually, drinking is not a precept. It's a precursor to the precept. Because if you drink, sometimes you get drunk and then you cannot control your action. But if you drink and you can still control your action, then you're still not breaking any precept.
So that's fine.
Fine, but not recommended. Because sometimes when you start drinking, you cannot stop.
Sometimes you drink, for health reason.
If you have to, like social function sometimes, but it's better not to, because once you start drinking, you can become addicted.
Okay.
And you keep finding reason to drink.
Okay. All right. Understood. Yeah. Thank you, Sadhu.
So I speak
Yes.
in English.
Yes, sure.
So the first question I have to ask you is because today you speak about metta.
Yes.
I want to know, I have some difficulty with my child. He's 15, he's teenager. So how to balance between metta in one place and another place to, he don't take over me, he will not be too strong in me, So I have to know how to balance between metta and also not to be too strong with him and not to be too nice with him.
Well, you have to draw a line somewhere where you have to stop if you cannot help him. See, you first have to know what your duty is. Your duty is to teach, to give him the right knowledge. So if he's doing something wrong, then you have to tell him, this is not right, you should not do it. And if he insists on doing it, then you might have to find some form of prevention, like maybe cut his allowance money, something like that, to make him realize that if he continue doing this, then his life can be a little more difficult for him. So if he might see a reason that he should follow what you say. But if he still does not follow you and he doesn't care, then you just have to accept the reality that maybe this is the way it's gonna be, and so you have to cut loss. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let him be. If he's gonna go down the bad path, and you try to stop him and he won't stop, the best thing you can do is to just give him the basic support. The 4 requisites of life: food, shelter, clothing, and medicine, and school if he goes to school. But as far as his conduct, if he's doing bad conduct, and you have already told him and he doesn't believe you, doesn't listen to you, then there's nothing you can do. This is why you have to draw the line. You can only teach and maybe find some form of prevention or obstacle to stop him, to prevent him from doing what you think which is not good. And one of it is you support him with the money. See, when he has money, then he can use money to do things that he shouldn't be doing. So that you might have to cut it down. But you cannot use force. You cannot slap him or chain him or anything like that. This is compassion or metta. You can only help him so much. Once he doesn't want to accept your help, then it's useless to continue.
So it's mean metta is not mean to be too nice with somebody always.
Oh no.
You have to
you
stop.
have to have a standard to stick to. This is what you want to help people, but you have to make sure that they don't hurt themselves by you helping them. If you help them and then support their bad behavior, then this is not helping them in the long run. You're actually hurting them. So you have to look at the end result of your action.
And the second question I have is more practical. I would like to stay tomorrow night up there. I want to know if it's possible.
I think you can ask him. Yeah, if we have a room for you, you are welcome.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, is that?
Yes, the last question I want to ask you. I want to know a little bit more about the practice of Asubha meditation. I read in the book of Mahabhava, and I want to know a little bit more how to practice it.
Well, the goal of Asubha contemplation is to embed in your mind the other aspects of the body that we don't see, which is the repulsive aspect of the body, such as when the body dies, there are 10 stages of corpse you can reflect upon, you can contemplate upon, to embed it into your memory, so that you can use it when you want to get rid of your sexual desire. This is more for those who want to practice meditation, those who want to give up sexual conduct. Then when you have sexual desire arise, if you have these images of the repulsive aspect of the body, then this can stop your sexual desire. So you need to embed it in, which might take a while. You have to keep thinking of it. It's like memorizing your multiplication table. You have to memorize 2 times 2 is 4. So you have to keep thinking of the 10 corpses, the 10 stages of the corpse, from dying and then becoming bloated and so on. This is one way of contemplating the unattractive aspect of the body. There are also another way is to look inside, under the skin of the body. Look at all the organs, like a medical student. You have to, what you call, dissect a corpse, dissect the body. So you can see under the skin there will be flesh, there will be sinew, there will be bones, be marrow, there will be all kinds of organs like heart, lungs, intestines, brain, so forth. And you try to imagine it in your mind, these images of these various parts of the body. So whenever you have any sexual drive, desire, when you think about this part of the body, then it will disappear.
So it's like sometime, when I see a good-looking girl in the street,
you have to
look,
think,
and I think to myself, okay, like it's like a skeleton,
yes,
or just blood.
Yes.
So it's come down.
It sounds easy, but when you really do it, you might forget.
I try to not forget.
See, when you don't have sexual desire, it's easy to do. But when you have sexual desire, these images that you have been trying to implant in your mind, they somehow disappear. So you have to do a lot of it.
Okay.
Anyway, the goal is to bring it out at the time when you needed it.
Okay.
If you cannot bring it out, then it's useless, even though you might have contemplated for many, many times before. But when you see a beautiful boy or girl, suddenly you forget everything. You only see that image. So then you know that you have failed.
So the way is to first to meditate on Buddha or on the breath first, and after that to look in myself.
Well, it's not in the same instance. These are two stages. The first stage is to be able to make your mind calm, and calm on a long-term basis, not just briefly when you meditate. You have to be calm, because when you contemplate on the Supa, you want to contemplate on a long-term basis, not just a few minutes and then you say, oh, I know. Yes, you know, but can you remember when you need it? That's the point, see. We'll find out in real practice, when you have sexual desire, and see if you can bring these images out to stop it or not. If it doesn't come out, then means you need to do more contemplation. Doing contemplation is like doing your homework, preparing your mind for the test when it comes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Just 10. Whenever my mind started to concentrate on breathing in and out, there's always a white light appearing. How should I deal with this?
Just ignore it. Just pay attention to your breath. Then anything that appears will eventually disappear. Don't give it any attention, because it will distract you from your meditation practice. Your practice is to watch your breath. Just keep watching your breath and ignore everything else. They are all distractions. They are something that you cannot prevent or get rid of by yourself. It will get rid of itself if you don't pay any attention to it. It comes and it goes. The Buddha said, treat it like anicca, dukkha, anatta.
I have one question. When we meditate and we feel sleepy, what we have to do? Do we have to walk, or do we have to still to meditate again?
Well, if you're sleepy, if you sit and you go to sleep, then it's useless to sit. Then maybe you should walk. But if you walk and you still feel sleepy, then you should fast. You should stop eating for a few days. It means that you have too much food stored in your system. So you have to relieve the food that has been stored in your system. Lighten your body. When your body becomes lightened from the food that you eat, then it will be not sleepy, it will be awake. So for meditator, usually we have to have moderation on eating. We should eat only just to survive, not to eat for the pleasure of eating. Eat only to stop the hunger. So you need only to eat once a day. If you want to be a real meditator, the Buddha said, practice eating once a day. And even that, maybe sometimes you have to fast, because sometimes you eat too much even once a day. If you still have a problem with sleep, then you should fast for 1 or 2 days and then come back and eat once. It will lighten the load on your body that causes you to be sleepy. Or you can use another method by staying in some place that is scary, like in a cemetery. Go practice in the cemetery, then you won't feel sleepy.
It's okay. The first question I have, why in some temple the monk can only meditate? Why other temple they have to go chanting or sometimes build a kuti? Does the Buddha settle any rules about this?
Well, temples are like schools. They have different level of teaching. Some are kindergarten school, some are elementary, some are secondary, some are university. So their teaching differs. And so this is why you have different practices in different temples. If you only meditate, then you are in the university. If you still have to chant, and then you're still in kindergarten. So it's just the level of teaching and the level of the student who can follow the teaching. So they choose the school that is appropriate for them. Like here, the only meditation, right? No chanting, no nothing. Just meditation. This is like in the new university level. But for people who cannot stay in a place like this and meditate, then they need somebody to guide them, like kindergarten teacher, who will tell them how to walk, how to meditate first, how to chant first, how to develop mindfulness, and so forth. For those who already know all these things, they want a place to practice, then they go to a quiet place. And
does the Buddha settle this kind of temple? Do he say this kind of temple is for kindergarten and another one is for university? Or
no, it's up to the teacher. See? If the teacher only know the kindergarten level, then he can only operate the kindergarten school. But during the Buddha's time, usually most of the school are university level, because all the teachers have attained Nibbana, so they will teach the highest level. But they also make provision for secondary and elementary. But this they can do it at home. See, they teach lay people to give charity, to keep the 5 precepts. So they don't need to come to study at the temple. Temple should mainly be for meditation practice. But somehow the teachers who's supposed to teach the school, they could not meditate. So then they teach the student to do the elementary or the kindergarten level instead.
Another question. When the mind is very agitated, what is the best technique to calm down the kilesha?
Well, the easiest way, but hardest also, is to use a mantra. Simple, you just keep reciting a mantra, and even until you stop thinking, then your mind will stop agitating. Yeah. The problem is if you haven't practiced using the mantra, you'll find it very difficult to do it. Maybe you even despise it, or because you think it's stupid. How can you just keep reciting one word and then achieve something so spectacular? Yeah. That's because they have never tried before. But if you really try using a mantra can stop your thoughts. Because if you focus on your mantra, how can you think about other things, right? So you use either a mantra or you know some chanting. Keep chanting. You don't have to do it orally. Do it mentally. Keep it inside. Then you can do anywhere, anytime. Yeah. So what you need to do, first you have to learn how to chant or learn how to use a mantra. It's like running. If you don't practice running before, you cannot enter the race because you run for 100 meters and you already run out of breath. Yeah. But if you keep learning, keep practicing running, you might be able to run a marathon eventually. Using a mantra is like that. If you don't practice before, when the time for you to use it, you cannot use it because you won't have the strength to recite.
So it means we have to practice a mantra when we are not agitated first.
Right.
And when we are agitated, it's like a test. We have to push.
Yeah. You can do the mantra all day long, mentally, from the time you get up to the time you go to sleep, except when you have to use your thought for some practical reason. Other than that, you should stop your thinking, because they're all useless. They're all imagination, daydreaming, wishful thinking, and creating agitation in the end. So you should replace it with a mantra. Any kind of mantra. You don't have to use Buddha if you don't like. If you like Jesus, you can use Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Mary, Mary. But Mary might not be good because you might start thinking about somebody beautiful. Hare Krishna. They use Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's all a mantra or chant to prevent your mind from thinking aimlessly or wishfully, which can resulting in agitation and restlessness.
It's what I do yesterday night. I was agitated when I come up, and I recite mantra, and also I walk for 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, and after I start to calm down.
That's right. Yeah. In the beginning, it might take a while because your mantra is not strong enough yet. But if you keep practicing it, eventually you can stop your thought in a few minutes. Yeah. So just keep practicing using your mantra, or focus on something to prevent you from thinking. Like when you have to stay in a kind of a dangerous place, you have to focus on your steps. Whether you're gonna run into something or not. Then you cannot daydreaming, think about the past or the future. You have to be in the present. Yeah. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
This is what we call mindfulness. Mantra is a form of mindfulness. Mantra, or focusing on your attention on your body action. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Ajahn, I have a question regarding feedback, Ajahn. In the spiritual path practice, what is the importance of giving feedback in terms of, receiving it as well as giving feedbacks to others when you see something that is maybe not so right, especially when you mix around with people who in a meditation group? Because personally, I find it quite useful because sometimes I get feedback from monks, which help me to improve. And also when I'm back home, my family members also give me feedback as, for example, that I'm moving too fast, I need to slow down. Just want to know Ajah's opinion on this.
Well, giving feedback or advice to people depends on two things. First, your advice is good or not good advice. Second, the person who did receive the advice, whether they are happy, willing to accept it or not. So you have to know. Some people don't like to be advised. When you tell them something, they get angry at you. So you shouldn't advise people like that. And if you advise people in the wrong thing, it hurts them more than help them. So you have to be sure what your advice is good, profitable, beneficial. You have to prove it yourself first. Not something you think. What you think might not be what you think. Yeah. You have to prove by practicing yourself first. Then you are certain, you are 100% sure. Then you can, if you are asked to give advice, then you should give. But if you're not asked, maybe it's just better to leave people alone, because it might create problem. People sometimes might despise you for it. So you have to know okay, you have to know these two things. All right, there's a lady who wants to ask.
From Monday, I heard Ajahn talk about metta, but I don't know in Thai. And this brother asked about metta, and I remember reading from Ajahns note, saying, we don't radiating loving kindness is a myth. So yeah,
It's a myth when you chant, see, when you are all alone sitting and
Okay.
chant the metta.
So how about we practice metta meditation?
When you meet people, when you see people, you smile at them.
Yes.
That's when we are radiating metta.
Okay, so when there is contact, then
Yeah,
only we
right,
do
right.
metta. And
When you chant is to study the way to radiate metta.
Yes,
Because when you chant, it's the instructions.
Yes.
You should forgive and not a revenge.
Yeah.
If people do anything bad to you, hurt you, instead of trying to get back, you should forgive.
and do we still need to do metta meditation?
If you don't know what it is, you can. It's a form of chanting also. See, you can use as a chanting
Right.
to make your mind calm.
Yes,
Yeah,
to
but
samatha.
but it's
yes.
not practice of metta. It's not the practice.
Right.
It's a chanting of metta.
Okay, understood.
It's like chanting all the other suttas.
Okay,
It's just chanting. It's not application.
clear.
Application only when you
When
see
there's a
people.
contact,
When
yes.
you see people,
Okay, people or animals.
animal,
or
or
beings.
anybody
Okay.
who needs your help.
Right.
Metta is to give help, to give happiness to other people, to
okay.
give solace, to give
Right.
comfort, to make people happy. This is what
Okay.
what metta is about.
Okay, thank you, Ajahn.
Okay. But most Thai people, they thought they are radiating compassion or metta by when they chant. You're not doing anything. You're just chanting, just like chanting other verses. You're developing mindfulness when you chant.
So it means we don't have a meditation on metta. Because in Europe they emphasize a lot about metta, we're talking always about
When you
metta.
chant, you're meditating. You use metta chanting as a method of, instead of using a mantra, you use sappe satta avela hontu. It's just meditation.
Okay.
But it's not giving love or compassion to other people. Some people think somehow the mind has this mental power that you
to
can
go.
send it all over the world and make everybody happy.
And that's why they have distant healing.
I know this is all delusional.
Okay. Okay, it's delusion.
Okay. You can chant. It's a form of mantra. Sappe satta avela hontu. You keep reciting, then your mind can become calm. So this is another form of meditation. But it's not giving metta to anybody. You cannot give metta when there are people waiting for you, to receive your metta. You cannot give metta to people who don't want your metta either. If you smile at them, then they just turn away and walk away. Then you don't want to give metta to them because it's a waste of energy.
From Jess Tan, greeting to Ajahn. I would like to inquire about the do's and don'ts when observing the 8 precepts, as I do it on one pra, whereby some days fall on work day. Am I strictly forbid to speak to anyone, even if it's necessary at work? I understand that the purpose of these precepts is to help us to be mindful and keep our hearts from being lured away by events.
No, you can talk to people as long as you don't speaking falsehood or lying, that's all. And this is the 8th precept. Do not lie. It's just like it's like the same as the 5 precept. The 5th precept is the same thing. If you want to go into more stricter rules of this precept, then you should abstain from speaking what you call frivolously, abstain from foul language, and abstain from speaking in a way that will make people hate each other. This is what the final point of the 8th precept. But if you cannot keep them, it's still not considered breaking them. When you speak falsehood, that's when you break this precept. But the other 3 is up to your ability to refine your speech to become more profitable and not hurtful to other people. But if you cannot do this, you still not considered to be breaking the precept. It's more like a recommendation, not a. You should try not to speak, frivolously or speaking about criticizing people, which is not your business. And try to don't speak foul language, and don't speak in a way that will make people hate each other. Sometimes you want to, that person, you don't like that person, so you tell this person, oh, this person is no good. You shouldn't say something like that. Let that person discover for herself or himself whether that person is good or bad. Unless they ask you, then you can tell the truth. You have to tell the truth, not your opinion. Because your opinion might not be the truth. He might be good, but you don't like him, so you think he's bad.
Greeting Ajahn. My grandma, who is in 90s, tend to interrupt me whenever I practice. She will talk to me when I chant or do my sitting meditation. She has once told me that I should like the other girls, like my many cousins, who get married and have a family. I am happy when I practice. I feel like I have come a long way in order to meet the teaching. Grandma has been playing role as my father and mother. I don't want to hurt her feeling either. How to make her understand I am happy at the current state and practice? Can Ajahn advise, please?
Well, I don't know what the problem is. The problem is you think your grandmother wants you to do something, be something, and you're not doing what she wants you to do. If that's the case, just tell her that people can be happy many different ways. Some people are happy because they have family. Some people are happy because they have money. Some people are happy by having nothing. And you just happen to be somebody who is happy without having anything. Just explain to her the truth. But don't expect her to understand, because this is something that is hard to understand. So if she doesn't understand, doesn't matter. But what you should do is ask her kindly that when you are practicing chanting or meditation, please don't interrupt you. Please consider it as your your time like your sleeping time. When you sleep, your grandmother don't wake you up. Same way with when you meditate and you do chanting, she should not didn't interrupt. Just talk to her nicely. That's all. And if we cannot come to any term or agreement, then maybe you just have to somehow lock yourself in a room where she cannot disturb you. Or if worse come to worse, you might have to go somewhere when you want to meditate or chant. This is something that you just have to work it out among yourself.
I get one question yesterday night from Chart from France. I have often panic attack. How to deal with my panic attack?
What attack? Panic attack. Child has problem with panic attack. Okay. Panic attack is a form of suffering. Usually arise from your fear of something. Either fear of losing your possession, losing your loved ones, or anything. This is because you don't understand the reality of life. That no matter whatever you have, you cannot possess them forever. Things come and go. Sometimes you can manage them, keep them. Sometimes you cannot. So you have to accept this truth. Then find an alternative to your security. If you rely on things that is not entirely secure, will be with you all the time, then try and find something else. In Buddhism, we have an alternative refuge or security. That is, we should learn how to be happy by meditating, be calm. When we meditate, the mind will become calm. And after we become calm, the mind can be happy. Then you can always rely on this happiness when you cannot rely on other kind of happiness. So you should lessen your dependence on things and people and concentrate on relying on your meditation. Give more time to your meditation practice and try to find peace and happiness from your meditation. Once you can do this, then you have an alternative way of making yourself happy. So when things happen to things or people, or even yourself, your body, you can still be happy if you know how to calm your mind, how to meditate. So you should go learn how to meditate. In Buddhism, the way to meditate is to have mindfulness, to control your thought, to stop your thinking. Because it's your thought that creates the panic in the first place. When you think about the insecurity of things and people, you become panic. So when you stop thinking about them, then the panic will disappear. Then once you can stop your thought, you'll be happy. And when you become happy, then you can use rationality to teach your mind to let go. That everything in this world is not secure. Everything is impermanent. They can change or they can disappear anytime without warning. So you should not rely on them to make you happy. You should rely on nothing to make you happy. That is to meditate. When you meditate, you don't need anything. You don't rely on anything. Okay?
I used to set an alarm when I meditate, and I tend get startled when the alarm ring. If the feeling of startled arise because I'm not being mindful.
Can you repeat the question again?
I used to set an alarm when I meditate, and I tend get startled when
Again, what do you say? I turn and
I tend to
I tend to
get startled.
startle.
Measure.
Okay.
Startle.
Okay.
When the alarm ring.
Okay.
If the feeling is the feeling of startled.
Startle.
Startle.
Startle. It's like a
Oh, okay.
ตกใจ
Arise.
ตกใจ
Startle. Arise because I'm not being mindful.
Even if you're mindful, sometimes you can still be startled when the mind being exposed to something sudden, something sudden and something strong, like maybe a thunder or something like that. Yeah. But it's nothing wrong. It's not considered to be defilement or anything. It's just the reaction of the mind to things that come suddenly, quickly. Yeah. So you shouldn't worry about it. But in meditation, the real goal is not to have a time limit on your meditation. The real goal is to achieve calm. Once you achieve calm, your mind can be in meditation for a long time because you feel pleased, you feel happy, and you don't feel any stress. But if you have to have a certain time, you have engagement to make, to do, then you will have to set the alarm. But if you don't have any engagement, any time schedule, then you should just don't worry about the alarm. If you want to know how long you meditate, just before you meditate, just take a look, just make a point at what time you start. And after you finish, then you just take another look at the clock. Then you can say, oh, today I can sit for half an hour, today I can sit for 1 hour. Yeah. So this is, you shouldn't worry, because if you use the clock, then sometimes instead of being mindful of your breath, you are mindful of the clock. You say, when is it gonna ring? When it will do, because you wanna stop meditating. So this can be a distraction to your meditation. So you shouldn't use the clock to set up your practice. You should use mindfulness as the thing to set your mindfulness, your meditation. If you have mindfulness, your mind can become calm, and once it becomes calm, it can remain calm for a long time. But if you have something to do and you have to finish before that, then you have to set the alarm. But preferably, if you shouldn't be subjected to such a time frame, because meditation is something natural that you shouldn't use anything to control it. You should let it become natural, using mindfulness as the key to your practice.
Okay, so the first question, in my business, most of the time I have a nice customer, but sometimes I meet really difficult people. How can I deal with these people while practicing metta and not breaking my shila? In the same time of question, if you have difficult people who practice here, how do you deal with these people?
You have to treat people like the weather. Sometimes you have good weather and sometimes you have bad weather. And there's nothing you can do about the weather. It's the same thing with people that you deal with. Sometimes you have good people, sometimes you have bad people. And it's not something you can do anything about it. You cannot change other people. You cannot tell them to do good. So you have to treat them like the weather. How you treat the weather, treat people like the weather. Whether you have good weather or bad weather, you accept it, right? Because you cannot change it. So this is the same way. This has nothing to do with metta or not metta. This is the way of how to maintain your sanity. If you want to maintain metta and you go crazy, then It's not worth it. First, you have to maintain your sanity first. You have to maintain your state of mind. You have to make your mind calm and peaceful. And the only way you can make it calm and peaceful is not by reacting to what you come across. You should do it like you do with the weather. Normally, you usually don't react to the weather. You accept the weather. So you have to accept the good and the bad people that you come across. Then you can become peaceful and calm. Then once you become peaceful and calm, then you can have metta. If you have no peace and calm, you cannot have metta. Okay.
So the second question from Mathilde from Paris: how to overcome our desire?
By resisting your desire, by looking at the result of your desire. It's like being addicted. Your desire will lead you to addiction, because once you like something, you want to have it all the time. And when you don't have it, then you can become sad and very unhappy. So you look at the result of your desire, that it leads you to more suffering, not less. It doesn't lead you to long-term happiness. It gives you a short-term happiness when you get it. But afterward, you become addicted to what you get, and you have to keep looking for it. And when you cannot get it, then you become miserable. So this is the only way that you can stop your desire. And the way to stop your desire in the beginning is to stop thinking about the things that you desire for. When you want something, then you should recite a mantra, Bhutto, 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 or do some chanting to pull your mind away from thinking about those things that you want. If you can pull away, then your desire will subside. Then it will give you time to think seriously, think logically, think about the bad result that will accompany you when you do what your desire asks you to do.
So the last question from Malek: if somebody inside insult you, speak bad about you, say something bad about you, how you will react?
Same thing like you react to the weather. When you hear thunder or lightning, what do? You just let it happen. The Buddha said everything is like the weather. People, things, anything, they all like the weather. You cannot control them, you cannot stop them. But you can control your mind. The best way is to not react to anything. Just be aware, but not react. Be aware that this thing happened, and then let it pass. Because whatever happened suddenly will pass. Somebody say bad thing, then it's gone already. But you keep bringing it back by thinking about it. So you should stop thinking about the past, something that people just did. Let it go. Don't hang on to it. If you cannot stop thinking about it, then use the mantra. Chant the mantra, Bhutto, Bhutto, Bhutto. A few minutes, then you'll forget what you think about. Then you don't have to do anything.
Thank you.
Okay.
During deeper meditation, by using Bhutto, my heart starts beating like crazy. It like a hammer on my chest. Sometimes also the breath goes wild and gets out of control. It feels not right and may be dangerous. I don't want to get a heart attack from the meditation or become crazy. How can I be saved?
Because you're not meditating. See? If you're meditating, your heart will become calmer. Your physical activity will become calmer. The reason is because you're not sticking with your mantra. You might think just using saying a few mantra, then everything will go automatic. That's not the case. You have to keep reciting the mantra all the time of your meditation. Not just starting mantra for a few seconds and then you expect it will go automatically. It doesn't. You have to keep maintain your mantra to stop you from thinking, because your thinking is the one that will stir your physical activity. When you think about something bad, your body will react according to what you think. See? But when you stop thinking, then there's nothing to instigate any physical activity. Your mind should be calmer. Your body should be calmer. Your heartbeat should be slower, in fact. Yeah. But if it's going the opposite, it means you're not using the mantra. You have to keep reciting Bhutto, 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 and stop thinking about other things. Stop talking to yourself. Stop expecting the result. And even ignore anything that happens to your body or seems to happen to your body. Maybe it's just your imagination. It's your mind imagination. Should ignore everything. Just keep concentrating on your mantra. Because everything, it will distract your mind from being calm.
คำถามจากคุณ No Life on Earth Can I get jhana with 5 sila I need to eat to carry out my work as a lay person?
Well, if you keep just the 5 sila, you won't have time to meditate. The time that you have meditate will be very little. You don't expect that once you sit for 30 minutes, you'll get jhana. This never happens. You have to practice all day from the time you get up to the time you go to sleep. First, you have to develop mindfulness by reciting a mantra. As soon as you get up, you have to start reciting your mantra or focus on your body action, your body activity. Don't let your mind think about anything except those thoughts that you have to think, what you have to do, what you need to do. But while you do what you have to do, you should stop. Just keep watching what you do. And then when you have time left, then you can sit and meditate. If you just give the 5 precepts, you go to work, and you only have half an hour for meditation, and you expect jhana, then it's not possible. Even if you practice all day, it's even almost not possible. It's only give you the door open for you to might be able to get jhana if you have strong mindfulness. If you practice all day but your mindfulness is not strong enough, you still cannot get jhana. It has nothing to do with the sila. Sila only provide you the time to practice. That's the duty of sila, to stop you from doing other activities, such as if you keep the 8 precepts, then you cannot do other activities except meditation.
คำถามจากคุณแดเนียล Germany ค่ะ I think about becoming a monk in Thailand. In a few years, my mother will be old and needs my care and financial help. What can I do?
Well, you just have to find somebody else to do it for you if you want to become a monk. Like the Buddha, when he left the palace, he knew there were other people who will take care of his family for him, so he left. But if you cannot find somebody to replace you, then you might have to be stuck with her until she dies. Then after she dies, then you can become a monk. And in the meantime, you just practice as much as you can. Prepare yourself for the time when you can become a monk. Because if you don't prepare yourself, maybe when your mother dies, you might change your mind. You say, I'm free now, I can have a girlfriend. So instead of becoming a monk, you might become a husband.
Second question, is there any real benefit from remembering past lives?
Well, the benefit is, at least it will tell you that you have a life that doesn't end at this lifetime. Life goes on, you go take up a new birth. So this is the benefit of being able to recollect past life. So you know that you don't die with your body, and that your future life will depend on what you do today. You can have a better future life, or you can have a worse future life, depends on what you do. If you do good karma, you will have better life. If you do bad karma, then you will have worse life. So this is the benefit of being able to recollect past life. It will certify that this is true, that we don't die with our body. We go on from one birth to the next. And it also can inspire us to stop going to be reborn, because for every rebirth there is always a re-death. For every birth there will be a death coming. So if you don't want to die, then you have to stop birth. In order to stop birth, you have to practice the triple training: morality, meditation, and wisdom. If you can develop these three dhammas, then you will be able to stop your rebirth, stop your death from happening.
คำถามจากคุณแจสแทนค่ะ My grandma, who is in her 90s, tends to interrupt me whenever I practice. She would talk to me when I chant or do sitting meditation. She had once told that I should like the other girls, like my many cousins who get married and have a family. I'm happy when I practice. I feel like I have come a long way in order to meet the teaching. Grandma has been playing role in my father and mother. I don't want to hurt her feeling either. How to make her understand? I'm happy at the current state and practice. Can Ajahn advise, please?
Actually, this question have been asked and answered, but I will answer it again for the benefit of those who hasn't heard. Just explain to her that people are different. People like different things. People are happy with different things. Some people are happy with apples. Some people are happy with banana. So you just happen to be happy doing chanting and meditation. It's just another way of making yourself happy, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But this is something you just have to explain. Whether she can satisfy her or not, that's another story. But just tell her the truth, that people are different. People are happy doing different things. Like people are happy eating different kind of fruit. Some people are happy eating apples. Some people are happy eating grapes.
คำถามจากคุณแดเนียล Germany ค่ะ How do monks handle the lack of sleep? Research shows that getting not enough sleep is damaging the brain.
Well, monks do have enough sleep. They don't, they have to sleep just like any other people, except that they don't need to sleep as much as other people, because monks don't have much work to do physically. So we don't need to rest the body as much as those who have a lot of physical activities. Normally the Buddha said monk only needs about 4 hours to sleep in one night. That's all the body needs. Through his own personal experience, the Buddha said he slept 4 hours a night, and that's enough to maintain the body.
คำถามจากชาวต่างชาติครับJust Tan I tend to yawn every time I do chanting. Already tried my very best to focus, but it still happen. May I know how to deal with this yawning habit?
You have to find some place where you are afraid or fearful, such as the cemetery, crematorium, places in the wild, in the jungle. When you're in those places, your sleepiness tends to disappear. You will be full alert. So if you find you have difficulty in practicing, then you should go find some place that will make you afraid, fearful, such as in a cemetery, a crematorium, or in the forest.
And another question from Daniel, Germany. How to deal with the 5 hindrances in meditation?
Well, 5 hindrances, they are 5 obstacles which you have to study and deal with them individually. There are 5 separate obstacles. If you have doubt in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, you should study. You should study the teaching, the history of the Buddha and the disciple. So eventually you will know that they are real, that they are not something that is being written up just for the sake of deceiving you. It's the truth. If you study the teaching, the scripture, which will tell the story of the Buddha, the story of his noble disciples, will tell you the story about his teaching. Once you have studied thoroughly, then you can dispel your doubt in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. If you have sleepiness, you have to moderate your eating. Don't eat once a day or twice a day, but not after midday. If you want to dispel this sleepiness, you can go find some fearful place to practice, like in the forest, in the cemetery. If you have anger, you should practice forgiveness. You should learn to forgive. When you forgive, then you can squash your anger. If you want to retaliate or revenge, you will make your mind more angrier. So the way to get rid of your anger is to forgive. If you have restlessness, you should develop a lot of mindfulness by reciting a mantra or focus on your body action. Whatever your body is doing, stay with that body action. Then you will not be able to think about this and about that. Then your restlessness and agitation will disappear. Is that all the question we have for today? Okay, thank you very much for sending your questions. I hope my answer can help dispel some of the doubts or misunderstanding, and hope that it will help you on your path to enlightenment. In the meantime, keep meditating and stay happy. Goodbye for now.